Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Animation Appreciation Podcast. I am your host, Liliana Stargazer, and today we're going to have another Cartoons in Review. This time I'm covering Cyborg 009. So, anyone who has ever asked me my favorite anime has heard me say things like Full Metal Alchemist or Yu Yu Hakusho or even Spice and Wolf. All are good anime, but all are a lie. My favorite anime is a little known one called Cyborg 009. Cyborg 009 was an anime that ran from 1964 to 1981 and had a slot in the 1990s version of Adult Swim on Cartoon Network late night alongside Yu Yu Hakusho. Cyborg 009 is about a young man named Joe Shimamura who is accused of burning down the church he stayed in. While running from the police, he jumps off a cliff and into the ocean. A large scale death merchant called Black Ghost found him and took him in. Not to help him, no, to make a living weapon of him, a cybernetic to either sell him off or use them himself. Quick tangent. A cyborg is a living creature with robotic parts. As long as any part is living flesh, even if it is just a brain, it is a cyborg. Any more than that, and it is a synthetic human or robot. Android is simply a robot that is humanoid in shape. Don't fight me. I know anime misuse both cyborg and android terms. Here they use it in several cases where we are certain there are no living tissue in any of these characters. So, let's explain the main 10 characters. Cyborg 001, Ivan Whiskey. Yes, you heard me correctly. He is a child, an infant actually, turned into a cyborg by his father to save his life. The result is he has psychic and telekinetic abilities that allow him to transmit his thoughts and hover for short periods. After using his powers, he must rest, usually for a very long time. And yes, he is originally Russian. Cyborg 002, Jetlink. He is a smart talking gangster from New York City. Like Joe, he was running from the law back when Black Ghost first offered him a way out, only to turn him into a cyborg. His abilities are jets. His legs are twin jet engines and he can fly using them. His shoes were modified to have holes for the flames to come out. Yes, you heard me correctly. They found someone named Jet Link and made him a living jet. Cyborg 003, real name Francois Arnault. She was a ballerina in France, and Black Ghost promised to give her a career as a professional and instead kidnapped her and turned her into a cyborg. Her abilities include enhanced vision, hearing, and radar abilities. She is basically an alert system that also cares for 001. She is the only female cyborg and one of the kindest of the lot. Cyborg 004, Albert Heinrich. He originated as a German truck driver. He was also married to a woman named Hilda. He was actually using his job as a disguise to cross the border to West Berlin. The men there asked what was in his truck, and he told them snakes and lions and such, and that they were more than welcome to check. All he had in the back was his wife and their stuff. When he was cleared, he pulled away, and the guard told him, "Hey, you forgot your ID," and he panicked and floored it. They were shot down, and the truck crashed in West Berlin. He survived, barely. His wife died in his arms. From that day on, he wore her ring on a gold chain necklace. Black Ghost found him that way, his body mostly ruined. He was actually turned into a living arsenal. He has rocket launchers in each thigh. Some say in his chest as well. I wasn't able to confirm that. He has a knife on the edge of one hand by his pinky finger, and a machine guns for fingers in the other hand. He often has to wear synthetic skin over his hand to blend in. After waking to the reality of pain and loss, physical and emotional, he attempted to take his own life repeatedly, and that ended the cyborg production of Black Ghost for a really long time. His gruff personality makes him seem harsh and uncaring, though he is quite the opposite. Once you get to know him, he's quite kind and caring. If you can't tell, this is actually my favorite of the cyborgs. When production resumed, we now have Cyborg 005, Geronimo Jr., or GJ for short. He is a Native American who was unable to find a job due to widespread racism during his time period. He was approached to be a Native American chief in a sideshow and was so offended he punched the man in the face. Deserved. Just saying. Black Ghost offered him a job, as they always do, and turned him into a cyborg instead. He is bulletproof at the skin level and is the strongest of the cyborgs. And honestly, the most gentle and kind. He loves nature and is much more in tune with the world around him. They stole a pacifist and tried to turn him into a weapon. Good job, guys. Cyborg 006, Chang Chengku. He began as a Chinese cook who burned his restaurant down during a fire breathing stunt. Afterwards, he fainted from shock. Guess who took him in? That's right, Black Ghost. They gave him the ability to breathe flames strong enough to quickly dig tunnels, and yes, he does still use them to cook. He is kind and caring, and during a special episode, it's actually shown that he taught the other cyborgs about food and lessons of life. Cyborg 007, and I will call him that because he's a dramatic man. He is known only as Sir Great Britain. No, that's not his real name. For we don't think it is. His actual name is never revealed, only the fact that he was once a famous actor. He fell in love with a woman named Sophie, but as he became more famous, he left her behind. Falling to bad spending habits, he lost everything, including his fame. Black Ghost found him penniless and willing to do anything from stage jobs to undercover work for alcohol or a smoke. They gave him the ability to change his shape to any object, creature, or person he wants to with the press of his belly button. Despite how easy it would have been for him to be a grumpy, upset character, he is surprisingly one of the most lighthearted of the bunch and is one of the two of the silliest people, with Chang being his partner in silliness. Cyborg 008, Hayuma. He was originally a guerrilla fighter who was opposed to the tyrant ruler of his land, along with a couple of his friends. Caught in some crossfire during the nighttime fight, he was actually captured and kidnapped by Black Ghost. He is the only one of the main characters with any real experience fighting, as he is their tactician and scout. He has mechanical lungs that allow him to breathe underwater. He also seems to have either sonar or is always hyper vigilant. Cyborg 009. I have already explained him, so I'll just list off what he can do here. He can basically do almost anything the others can, including breathe underwater. He is super strong, resists damage, leap over large distances, and has an acceleration mode that allows him to move faster than any other main character we can see. 002 has the same ability but is much slower, and there's even an entire episode where his accelerator gets stuck on and he has to basically live weeks, months, or it's unsure how much of his time passed, but it was with less than the blink of an eye for everyone else. He was just alone for that whole time. Finally, we have Dr. Isaac Gilmore. Dr. Gilmore is a normal human man who was once working for Black Ghost as a scientist, and after having a moment of morality, decided to help the cyborgs escape and now just helps repair them and feeds them information he remembers from his time at Black Ghost as needed. What made it special? To me, it was the villainous company constantly starting fights and wars just to sell their weapons to all while trying to capture their quote unquote lost cyborgs. I also feel the way the cyborgs grow and learn is part of what makes it good. There are episodes where the first four have to deal with the fact that everyone they know and love is dead, as they were put in stasis when the project was on hiatus. 40 plus years were between 004 and 005. And as I mentioned, the silly duo of 006 and 007, those two were always making jokes back and forth and taking jabs at each other. Was it good at the time? Yeah, it was one of those Cartoon Network itself would air, alongside Yu Yu Hakusho and Naruto, so it was as good as those two at least. Does it hold up now? Yeah, oh yeah. The funny moments from back then still make me laugh now. 007 is just as funny as I remember. There's even a moment when Chang's face to face with a hologram of the head of Black Ghost and says, "Oh yeah, take this," and throws a frying pan at the hologram. Goes through the hologram, hits the wall, bounces back through the hologram, and hits him in the face. I still laugh and make fun of him every time because what made him think that would work? Personal thoughts. Well, this is my favorite anime, and it's one I had to do very little research to make an episode on. Mostly, it was about how to spell their names and confirm I remembered their stories. But as for like the stories themselves, I actually didn't have to correct hardly anything. I knew them by heart. This anime is special for another reason. One night while I was watching like my fifth or so episode, my now deceased father came and sat down next to me and asked me a few questions. And he liked it. So we started meeting in the living room every time it aired to watch it together. To the point that when he passed, I actually asked for his wedding band and put on a gold chain just like 004. So it's just a little reminder of the show and the man who watched it with me. So again, if you see me in person and I have that gold ring on a chain and it's really big, that's why. It's not the one ring, it's from this anime. I loved this anime so much that my husband actually bought me the DVD of the complete collection of all the episodes. A lot harder to find than you thought. And I couldn't have been happier. We still watch them because we haven't made it all the way through more than once. But I still love all the characters. Always have, always will. Well, that's all I have for today, so thank you for listening. And as always, remember if it's animated, someone did it on purpose. Thank you and have a great night.